Oh boy, everybody. We got a very sad and quite frankly shocking industry insight for today. So much so that it kind of put a hamper on everything else I was planning on doing. But it has been announced that Telltale Studios is basically in the final stages of being officially closed after being around for more than a decade and being one of the first studios to kind of reinvent or reintroduce adventure game design to the masses with the likes of Sam & Max, Bone, Tales from Monkey Island, and of course what most people will probably know them for, The Walking Dead, and even something like The Wolf Among Us. But as of today, according to a piece on Gamma Sutra, the company is now down to 25 people from an original size of 250. And the remaining staff is basically there to do final work on some of their other projects before basically things are going under. And to add even more salt to the wound, it was reported that the people who were let go were given no information and no severance pay as well. And this is just a horrible situation all around. Now, for fans of Game Wisdom, you know that I've been a on-off fan of Telltale from the early days. I was a huge supporter of them when they were doing Sam & Max. The Wolf Among Us I really loved. And unfortunately, I have literally no footage of a Telltale game to put up right now, and that's kind of par and parcel for this kind of discussion. While Telltale has been known for being one of the more recognized names in the adventure game side, especially among mainstream development, they have kind of lost, I think, for a lot of people, the popularity or that secret sauce that brought them into the zeitgeist or the popular zeitgeist over the years. Starting with The Walking Dead, it kind of took over everything and anything related to the company in terms of the engine that they used, their style of gameplay, and even the writing and general storytelling that will go into their games. While I did enjoy The Wolf Among Us, most of their adventure games following The Walking Dead all had that same formula. And we, of course, have joked about they will remember it being an all important tag that does absolutely nothing depending upon what part of the game you're at. Now, while I don't have any footage, I can bring out some swag. This is my hardbound Sam & Max Surfing the Highway that I got following the success of Sam & Max Seasons 1 through 3. I really enjoy this, and the Sam & Max games were kind of like my first real exposure to the franchise outside of watching the cartoon back in the day. And I think it was right around that time was when I finally got to play Sam & Max Hit the Road for the first time. So, as of right now, outside of 225 employees being fired and basically the scuttling of their major franchises, there isn't too much more in terms of concrete information. For people who do follow Telltale, there have been on again, off again rumors about their co-founder and former CEO Kevin Bruner of he's actually suing the company over him being fired about a year and a half ago. And while he tries to make things seem all nice and lovey-dovey, people have said he was a very pain and nightmare to work with. And I'm sure over the next few weeks, or maybe by the end of this year, we'll probably be hearing a lot more out of what happened at Telltale Games. But while we don't have any footage for today to switch off to, I do kind of want to talk about a very key point out of this. And that is the difference between success versus financial success. As everyone who is watching this video probably knows, Telltale Games is a very recognizable name. I'm pretty sure they've won several either Game of the Year awards or like Best Storytelling or Best Adventure Game awards from the VGAs over the last few years. I certainly know The Walking Dead has won a major award. And a lot of people, especially on the consumer side, they see these studios who become Game of the Year winners, award, best places to work, or even just having a very popular game as kind of becoming too big to fail. But that is never the case. And game development is certainly not as lovey-dovey at this point. As we've said many times over, and what I'll probably be saying many times in the future, the game industry can be a fun business, but at the end of the day, it's still a business. And if you are not making profit with each one of your games, it doesn't matter if your game is the #1 title of the year and everybody's praising it, if you don't have the money to pay your bills. And rumors have said that since The Walking Dead, the developers have not had one single profit-making game since, losing money on Game of Thrones, The Wolf Among Us, Batman, and so on and so forth. And again, that kind of information seems very shocking, because you would think that with a company with this popularity, I mean, I get emails from them all the time about big press announcements. So many YouTubers and streamers cover their games whenever there's a new release, so you would think that they would be doing an amazing job. But just because the face may look well doesn't mean things are working behind the scenes. And there have been many discussions on various sites and discussions on Twitter about kind of Telltale rotting from the inside out. The fact that they held so long onto their Telltale game engine despite the issues and limitations thereof. There's a very interesting and almost like shocking piece going around on Twitter right now. I'm trying to see if I can find a recent mention of it, that there were plans to do a Telltale Netflix collaboration with Stranger Things, a show that, again, I'm sure most of you watching this knows. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm sure I'll get some feedback from that down below. But it was actually vetoed by the head of the companies or the major corporate side because they thought the show was just about kids on bicycles. And even I know that's not true. But in terms of the update from Telltale, as of right now, as I'm recording this, the end of The Walking Dead, or The Walking Dead's final season, that's cut. And the rest of what they're doing is working on a Minecraft story mode for Netflix. So, unfortunately for today's Industry Insight, we're not going to be ending on a happy note. Here you can look at my, if I hold up Sam & Max right here, maybe it will make you guys, it will at least bring some happiness to everybody. But when it comes to the game industry, we've said this before, but running a studio, managing a team, these are marathons, not sprints. And it's very important for anyone entering the game industry or starting their own indie game company to understand that. Just because you make one really great game does not mean you're a great studio runner. And I always say this, but whenever I hear from a big name success from a studio, I always keep a sharp eye out for what's the next game. What are they doing after that success that hit? And can they maintain or grow that momentum? Very few independent studios sadly have managed to do that. A few that I can think of would be stuff like Kit Fox Games, Clay Entertainment. I would like to say Yacht Club Games, but they're still working on Shovel Knight right now. But they are still going strong on that front. But let's wrap things up here. So, unfortunately, what was once one of the major giants of the adventure game industry is now, at this point, at death's door. So for those of you watching this who are either long or short-term fans of Telltale, let me know what you think in the comments below. And I'm very curious, for those of you who are long-time fans, going back to the Sam & Max, Bone, I think there were probably a few games before that as well. What do you make of this news? Because like I said, I loved them in the beginning, but I really fell out of love with them after things kind of just became one note with them, with The Walking Dead. But before I go, for anyone watching this right now who has worked at Telltale and was let go, my condolences go out to you and to your family as well. I hope all of you manage to land on your feet. But with that said, thank you so much for watching today's Industry Insight. Check back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where we study the art and science of games. And I'm really hoping that our next video will be at least a little bit happier. And Actually, as a quick side note, I also want to throw out my condolences to Capcom Vancouver, the makers of Dead Rising from 2 and on, who were also laid off this week as well. So best of luck to you guys, and let's hope next week brings some good news for everybody. Before we get to the credits, just a quick shout out to the supporters over on patreon.com/gwbycer. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to check back for our regular streaming, most nights at 9:30, 10 EST, and you'll find a schedule linked down below. For a collection of my writings as well as audio casts on design, you'll find that at game-wisdom.com. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at GWBycer. If you're interested in hanging out and talking about game design topics, we have a Discord channel with the basic tier open to everybody, and that is linked down below as well. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, it is at patreon.com/gwbycer. Your support can help to keep things going and growing, and you can earn rewards such as ad-free versions of our talks, votings for our specific Let's Plays and grab bag streams, and more. But that's it for now. Thanks again for watching. I hope you come back for more great discussions on design here and on GameWisdom.com, where we examine the art and science of games.